And yeah, we are being joined by Five Slay. And you said that you used to live in Nigeria. I don't think that you live in Nigeria anymore.
Um, I mean, technically, I still do. Technically, I'm studying here, you know,
Okay.
but I'm from Lagos. I'm from Nigeria. I grew up in Lagos. I'm from a state called Imo State. That my dad works for the Imo State government. He directly works for the governor of that state. But we live like I lived and grew up in Lagos, and that's where like the main how do I say it, the main concentration of the SARS protests and
Yeah.
most of the events have been in,
Do
you know.
you intend on moving back to Lagos when you finish your studies, or is it very up in the air due to a multitude of reasons of what we're doing with our H-1B visas and kind of like the immigration policy of the United States at the moment?
I can say I,
Don't feel compelled if these are going to
yeah,
be some
like
sensitive topics.
not really all that sensitive. You know, it's normal shit. It's nothing too big or important. I'm not a, you know, I'm not a celebrity or anything. It's I can't say specifically how any of that is gonna play out. I'm not gonna have a strict plan of where I intend to live or stay. I don't intend to live anywhere in particular. You know,
Hmm.
I intend to be like fluid in terms of where I live. It depends on what I'm working on at whatever point in my life. That's what you know. I'm in Houston now. I literally just moved down here. A year ago, I didn't know I was gonna be in Houston by now. I just had it depending on how things played out. That's how I'll know where I'm gonna live or I'm gonna be staying. I
Hmm.
intend to work mostly but in like I tend to like work on things that are gonna be within the US and Nigeria. So it's gonna be kind of uh between those two is gonna be kind of a decision there. So I don't intend to live in anywhere in particular.
Okay.
Like even in terms of the H-1B visa and immigration, a lot of that has changed just within the 2 or 3 years that I've been here. A lot of that has
Yeah.
literally changed
Yeah.
while I'm here. So I can't solidly put any of that into my plans because it all depends on what point in time you're talking about.
Hmm.
So I'm not gonna solidly plan for something that can easily be changed.
I actually
Um,
can't imagine. I can't imagine living through a scenario like that.
yeah,
I was born in the United States, and that makes it very, very simple to me. For me,
yeah,
I
yeah,
should
it
say.
makes it very simple. Yeah, when it comes to issues like this, especially in Nigeria, it's like it's never simple. It's never really simple.
Hmm.
The SARS case in particular is one thing that has me that is like specific to my demographic.
Yeah,
Even
so
Nigeria,
it seemed like they specifically target 18 to 35-year-old males,
yeah,
and try
specifically.
to either through coercion or through extortion,
Hmm.
basically try to say like, if you look at them the wrong way. My take so far has been, if you look at them the wrong way, they're gonna come after you. They're gonna search you, and they're gonna figure out a way to take something from you. Is this?
They
Go ahead.
they are hungry. That's the simplest way I can. They are hungry. They want money. They're not being like for the most part. It seems like they're not being paid enough or at all consistently by the government or whatever part of the government is controlling them. I'm not too
Hmm.
sure specifically who's in charge, but like it always seems like they're just looking for money. They want bribes. They want to arrest you and have something they can hold over your head and say, okay, we'll give you X amount. My specific experience was before I moved here to do like go to college and stuff. I was in, let's just say I was passing time in a Nigerian university, and we will be going out. Usually, if we'll be going out. It could be any time of the day. It's not specific to any time of the day. It could be literally any time of the day. But in our case, it was late. It was later. you're also more likely, you know, to you're also more likely to be a target later because there's not too
Mm-hmm.
many people outside. So if they see young people outside later and they're like well dressed, I mean, of course they're going to be well dressed if you're like going to maybe a nightclub or something like that, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
that's and yeah, and it's like, yeah, they see you with specific things. They'll just say they see you with an iPhone, or you have like dreadlocks or some shit, or you have like a really nice car or really expensive clothes and shit, and they're like, oh, how do you get this? There's no way you can have this if you're not stealing some
Mm-hmm.
shit, you know, or scamming. And they're gonna say, they're not gonna literally tell you that, but they're just gonna pull you over and then start being very, very hostile. They're gonna ask everyone to come out from the car, and then they'll ask for your phones. And that's usually when things go wild. Because if they ask for your phones, let's just take me for example. Say they ask for my phone and they open, it could be anything. Let's say they open Discord or some shit. And they scroll through Discord and maybe they see like Discord servers with channels and like snaps of, let's say they just see like random white people and shit there, and they're like, oh, who's this? Do you know who this person is? No, I don't know who this person is. We're in a group chat. I don't know all like 40,000 people in Soda Poppin's Discord or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just continue with it. So you're lying. You know who this person is, but you're scamming them overseas, and you're actually a internet fraud star. Or so you're lying. You're lying about scamming these people that you're scamming overseas, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria is a very black nation. It's like black people everywhere, barely any white people. It's the most populated black nation on the planet. It's the one place where the most black people are. So it's like mostly black people. So someone sees a white person on your phone and they ask you, "Oh, you're in a chat with this person, so you must know who this person is." If you're lying about knowing who this person is, then you must be scamming. They don't care. It's probably obvious by now. They don't care who that person is. They don't care what you're actually doing. They just want a reason to arrest you so they can take you away, and then they can make you explain, or they can put you in a position where they can exploit you and have you give them money. They can take, and when you give them, usually when you give them the money they ask for, they leave you alone, usually. And then sometimes, I don't know, sometimes it's just completely unhinged bullshit. Like it's just completely illogical. You're asking yourself what is going on in this situation because nothing makes sense. Some people that go in, like to some people that get in bad confrontations with SARS and then die, some of those, like there's nothing they could have done. Sometimes they just want to kill somebody. And I do not know why anyone would ever just want to, you know? It's like, oh yeah, I have the power. If you piss me off, you're gonna die. And it's really insane. That's why we want it ended. We don't want anybody to be in the situation or in that position where they have that like where they're basically not accountable to anybody, which is another very important thing that the, like, I don't want to say the Nigerian government, but a lot of Nigerian, well, yes, the Nigerian government, but I don't want to say just them specifically, but a lot of like public officials and public services in Nigeria have that issue with accountability. If they had to give an explanation for why they had the why, so for why, for everything they did, which is what you'd expect, but that's not the case. They just go about their day and not having to actually give accountability to anybody because even their superiors are like involved in it sometimes. So when with that in mind, they can do whatever they want. At that point, they can quite literally do whatever they want. Only like very few exceptions when some people can be, like ironically, let's say somebody has, uh, let's say they mess with somebody that's actually in a position of power to hold them responsible. That's when some of them get fucked up. But for the most part, I'm sorry, am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So for the most part, it's not like they just free to do whatever they want. But they only do that to like when they think they're gonna get away with it, you know? and they're and it's getting to the point where it happens all the time. I think it seems like it's gotten a lot worse since I was there. I was there about 2-3 years ago, and it's like now everything like it has to be getting worse because shit was already getting worse before I left. Like someone that left 5 years earlier than me compared to someone that left a year earlier than me, like the experiences are gonna like kind of vary because it seems to have been getting worse. There seem to be more and more situations of SARS taking advantage of kids, and SARS completely just getting away with it with no type of accountability. It's like basically the same thing we say about like the American police force when they have things like police unions that get them off,
Hmm.
like get them away from having to face the actual consequences of their actions. But here it's not even police unions, it's just like they're just completely complicit. So when they say they're gonna end SARS and then make a new anti-robbery squad, which is what the ARS and SARS stands for, and then name it SWAT,
Right. Yeah.
they're basically saying, fuck you guys. You want to end SARS? Well, haha. Joke's on you. We just changed your names. So technically,
Well,
SARS
and
is
I
ending.
also I also saw that they're taking the SARS agents and they're just putting them in different
The exact
police
same thing,
entities. Like
different name.
they're not firing anybody. They're not
No,
dismissing anybody. They're
nope.
just
For
like you said.
justice.
They're
For
literally
justice.
taking one patch off and putting another patch on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
That is true. That is true.
does any of the does any of the bribes happen into like other regions or like other I guess like sectors of the business in Nigeria
Oh yeah, there's two things we usually say: bribery and corruption. Like it's so pervasive, especially in public offices, and like um agencies like the police, and it's the same thing with the police. It's not The police is not exactly as oppressive as SARS, but they're still really, really fucking bad. And the police is also underpaid. Like they're not like you get to talk to some of these people and you get to hear things like, oh, we haven't been paid in months, the government, or like, and it's like the people, nobody's being held accountable.
now it's really
That's
interesting that you
a
say that.
central problem.
I wouldn't have believed that if I had heard it from like a Western media source or something.
Oh yeah,
um,
don't fucking believe it.
Well, right,
Time.
but because like imagine that I was like trying to read an article and then like because okay, think about like a way that like the New York Times might spin it, like oh these like these poor police officers, they're not being paid and so on and so forth, but it's
Oh
actually but
yeah.
hearing it from a person who's there, what like where's the disconnect?
Surprisingly though, surprisingly though, the I watched, like, there was a Trevor Noah video about this same issue that I watched like late last night. It was cringe, obviously it's Trevor Noah. So it was cringe and not too funny, but the information he gave out about the situation was, let's say, at least 90% on point.
Okay.
So I can say for the most part of where, and I watched like a couple CNN videos and stuff like that. The information they give for the most part is correct. It's There's gonna be some slight differences, but for the most part it's not like they're trying to make it look like another narrative. But
Interesting.
I also haven't seen right wing media sources because I don't follow that shit anyways. So I can't say across the board. Just
I mean, I doubt that Fox even has a story about it.
yeah, just
Like,
liberal media for the most part has been
I can't imagine.
okay covering this. So like for the things they do say, they're not really. I'm not seeing a lot of like inaccurate coverage, but they're not saying everything in the situation. They don't know everything that the people living in Nigeria like it knows. There's some things that living there you think is normal, but it's just not when you actually take a step back to think about the rest, like in context of the rest of the world, how the rest of the world does it, like in more developed nations generally. Because like just not paying people for the jobs they're doing. By the way, I see you in chat, Silver. How's it going, man? They're for the way like I like one of the demands we're making in terms of the protests, there's like a list of 5 demands. The 5 for 5. It's what they call it. It's like it's one of the slogans of the protesters, which is like 5 demands, and the government has to do it, and the government has to do all of them. Like nothing less, nothing more. They have to do every single one of the 5 demands. Let me pick. One of them is that they increase the payment of those in the police force, and they have to pay them consistently.
Immediate release of all arrested protesters, justice for all the deceased victims of police brutality, and appropriate compensation for their families, independent body to oversee the investigation and prosecution of all reports, in line with the new Police Act, psychological evaluation and retraining of all disbanded SARS members before they're deployed, and increase police salaries so they're adequately compensated for protecting the lives and property of citizens.
Yes.
I want when did this not like payment to these police begin? Like, has this been something that's been like growing, or has it kind of been that way for a long time? Or
in terms of when it began, I can't point out a date and say exactly when it began. There's always been a thing that's like said about the Nigerian government in general, that like there's government employees who do not just get their pay, and it's usually the public officials. It's like usually the like, how'd I say it, the ground roots people, like the police force, the people being paid to do like public projects and stuff. It's like there's like embezzlement of the funds from the government, and I can't say exactly how it relates, but there's always been news of stuff like that going around. People in public office directly taking money meant to be used for like, to pay like the teachers in the universities, and to pay like teachers in public schools, to pay the police force, to pay. There's like road safety officials. There's also people who clean.
Is there any type of political party or movement that seems to be trying to root out some of the the bribes or the corruption or these like issues?
Here's the thing. Every single political party claims that they're the ones that are going to do it, including the ones that are in power and are clearly not doing it.
Yep.
So no, there's no specific political party that's known for actually wanting to do it. And they all claim it, but none of them actually are actually like, known to keep government officials, keep everyone accountable.
How about are there any reputable press agencies or like journalistic endeavors that are kind of that like try to bring awareness to these things, or do they kind of get cracked down by the SARS and other?
I can't say for sure. I haven't been paying enough attention. I haven't had access to like that kind of information. And frankly, I can't say for sure like what press sources you can trust or not trust. But one thing I will say is, one thing that I am noticing is the overwhelming majority of Nigerians in general, like young Nigerians, people under the age of, let's say, 40, the overwhelming majority of them are on the same page about. But what there still doesn't, but like what is just what remains uncertain is what are we gonna do about it? You know, all we can do on and all we are doing right now is to protest and bring these demands to the government and let them know that these things have been happening. They know it's been happening. It's been happening for a while. We know it's been happening, but we are not gonna just be quiet about it anymore.
Yeah.
Charles is abducting and extorting, and even hearing reports of, under some circumstances, raping their victims with no accountability. It's insane. It's insane.
And please correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm like, stating things in like an incorrect way, but it almost sounds that like the bribery, the extortion, and the corruption has like gotten through so many different sectors of the society that it's difficult to even really like conceptualize where to begin rooting it out.
Yeah, it's like a thing, It's like a thing. It's like lying. With how normal it is for American politicians to lie is how normal it is for Nigerian politicians to just straight up steal money. That's it. And I say this, and my dad is a politician.
Man, yeah, and this is because I was doing a decent amount of like coverage about Libya today, and not Libya, sorry, Lebanon, and the same thing, is happening in Lebanon. This corruption problem seems to be like kind of like Silver saying, this is a systemic problem around the world. Damn, yeah.
It's really something to see the people like I grew up with back home coming out in huge numbers to demand justice, and just see the total complete disregard by the majority of the leaders in like that were voted in by the same people. Like the video I see on your stream now, the video you're watching is a warehouse that was apparently full of COVID-19 supply.
Yep.
Yeah, like
Supply
like aid for the public.
Mm-hmm.
That is in Lagos. That is in Lagos. That's Ikoyi in Lagos. They have it filled with grains and noodles and a lot of provisions, groceries that are going to help people out. These boxes are labeled not for sale. They're labeled with the COVID-19 stimulus labels on them. And they've been in a warehouse. Apparently, like I would assume, I don't know for sure here. I'm saying I would assume these things have been here for a month. Because months ago that we were told about having the stimulus, kind of like our own form of a stimulus package for COVID-19, for like control of the COVID-19. Right. Like, it's been just sitting in this warehouse. And this morning I talked to some other Nigerians that I know they are keeping, that I'm sure are also keeping their eye on the situation, because it worries, trust me, it worries anybody that grew up in Nigeria. It definitely does. Because you definitely know. Even if I hadn't been personally picked up by these guys, I still know, because I have friends that have also been fucking arrested and fucking beat up and tortured in the prison.
Yeah, now
so
yeah,
know this shit is going on, And like at this point where the pressure is so high and everyone is so angry about it right now and demanding change, we just keep on hearing more and more and more crap. Like, they just don't care. This morning I was talking to somebody. We were talking about the issues and also this video you're watching. But I was generally talking to him because I told you my dad, he works for the governor of Imo State. That's where I'm
Mhm.
from. That's my hometown. So he's also from Imo State, and then he posted about protests in Imo State, and that's one thing that I was very interested in. Like, I've not known where, I've not seen a lot of information about protests in that place particularly, because that's where my dad works. He works for the governor. He works for people that are directly gonna be, um, interacting with the public. So he told me that this morning, the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodimma, he put out a message talking about so-called fake thugs that are pretending to be protesters. You know, the normal routine
Yeah.
to be protesters,
Yep.
burning down these stations. Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And completely leaves out the actual protesters. He refers to people that are faking to be protesters, and then throughout he never actually addresses the real protesters, the reason for there to even be fake protesters in the first place. He says, oh, these people are bad, we're not gonna let this continue, blah blah blah. So we set a 24-hour curfew. So right now we're on curfew per se.
Yeah, that's
In
been up for a few days, right?
Yeah, it's I think it's today, like in
Okay.
Nigeria.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in Imo State, I think they have a 24-hour curfew as at now. And the thing is, I'm like, why isn't he talking about what the protesters are actually asking about? We're protesting there. We just don't want to be shot dead for no reason. We don't want to be arrested with no reason. We don't want to be subject to searches when we're not under the suspicion of any crime. You know?
Mm-hmm.
They're coming out in numbers to demand something so simple. And you can't just acknowledge. The closest thing I hear to an acknowledgement is, oh, these people are faking their they're faking um they're faking their, how do I say it? They're faking to be part of the noble cause. Like, they're not actually part of the noble cause that the real NSARS protesters are.
Right.
Okay, so what about those that are actually the real NSARS protesters? What are you gonna do for them? What are you saying to them? You're not, because right now you're not saying anything apart from, okay, I'm not even saying like, there's fake protesters and then there's the real protesters. I'm just saying, like, by his own logic, saying that there are fake protesters and then there are real protesters. You talked about the fake protesters. Okay, what are you gonna do for the real ones? You're not showing that you support their cause in any way. You're not showing that you're actually gonna do anything to help. All you're saying is, lock it down. We don't like you guys for burning our precious property. And shut up. Don't come out in our streets to say anything. You know?
Mm-hmm.
There's even a governor of River State. So annoying. This dude literally tried to ban protest. He said no one in this state is allowed to protest for like a particular day. You know what they did? They went outside and protested butt naked the next day. I was like, wow. And it's like a very, like, the state he's a governor of, like, it's River State. Like, what you usually hear about that state from, I even hear it from people that I'm friends with. One of my friends that was arrested by SARS also, he's from River State. And he says it's a very dangerous place. And then the governor is kind of acts like a mafia boss or some shit, like a gang leader or some, like some absurd shit like that. And he says, okay, no one is allowed to protest this next day. And I'm like, how are we in a country where someone can just straight up say that they're not gonna let people exercise their human right? You know? Like it's weird. I'm like looking at this and I feel like I'm going back in time, but I'm not. It's happening today. It's happening now. They sent military officials to shoot at protesters. Lethal rounds. You don't hear like any of the non-lethal tear gas, this and that. Nope. Military officials went out to the street and shot 12 people dead 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
2 days ago. Same day we were all rejoicing about AOC playing Among Us on Twitch. I look over to Twitter and I see people are being sprayed at. So like that's kind of it's just a lot going on, and it's a really messed up situation. I see people always saying things like, "Oh, what are the UN going to do? What is this and that? Which of these global it's like which of these global organizations are gonna come and kind of save us?" And I'm like, maybe we will soon realize that like not every global organization actually does what they claim to do. They do it for the richer nations, obviously, but when it comes to nations that have been exploited and are still being exploited, it's like I wasn't expecting the UN to fucking do anything. They don't care, or at least I don't think they do.
Um, are
But
there are
I'm not. Spoiler alert! Like none of them have done anything till now.
right?
Nothing.
Are there any jobs for the youth at the moment? Um,
Oh
like
hell no! What the fuck?
no.
No. For the overwhelming majority of people, no, not right now. No, most people are. Another thing I like is there are a lot of like self-employed people doing their own craft. It's like your side hustle, but that becomes your actual job.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't actually have a job, your side hustle becomes your job. So that's kind of the situation where at least most of the people I know of. I can't talk for everybody. I'm not actually looking at statistics here. You can't take this as 100% fact. But like in my experience, while I was there and paying attention to the people I am now, my personal experience, most overwhelming majority of people don't have what we would call regular employment, like a job. Most people are self-employed, and it's it's nuts. The When you listen and you hear what these people are actually like, what the police force is being paid and stuff, sometimes you hear people being paid like, I don't know, 9,000 naira a month. To put things in perspective, well, you can search the exchange rate and see
Mm-hmm.
what that translates to in dollars. But to put things in perspective, to put things in proper perspective, when I was in
Wow.
a university, yes, when I was in a university, my weekly allowance, my weekly allowance was 8,000 naira a week.
Is there also a black market currency exchange? It seemed like it was kind of coming up that.
Yeah, there is kind of a black market currency exchange, but that's just when the banks are not really. Sometimes you can go into a bank and they can literally tell you, "Oh, we don't have dollars."
Mm.
Yeah, black market. This is what you can expect to buy dollars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and once I mean, man, I'm about to be dark, but once this becomes the norm, it it's man, I can't even explain how bad this is when when black market exchanges begin to develop or have developed and already have taken root.
Like when it started, there's always been black market.
Oh, I would say like for monetary exchange, like in Lebanon, if you have like actual dollars, it's worth like a lot. There's a black market exchange rate in Venezuela, black market exchange rate, Honduras, Turkey,
I
so
don't know
forth.
so much about that.
Yeah, when this becomes a thing, I mean, this is just like a fundamental, just it's an entire breakdown. And then it also means that the government's not going to be able to pay their debts that they're owed to the IMF or to the World Bank or to the United Nations, and then it exacerbates the problem of not having enough dollars, and then it continues to spike up the black market rate. It's happening in Iran.
Yeah, it's really insane. It's there's a lot. The the conversation I had one with like another Nigerian this morning. It's like a friend of mine who lives in um a dude I play Warzone with actually lives in the US right now. We're from the same like hometown. We were both from Imo State. And he was the one that like talking to me about protests in Imo and how they actually have already been going on, and there's been like 2 people killed already in that area. I was really concerned because last time like like whenever I talk to my parents, like I want to ask my dad about this and what his I don't know what his perspective has been like from someone within the government and actually know what he has been doing to help. Because I actually haven't had that conversation yet. Because he's only, I did not know much about the protests in Imo. So I have to find that out. And I want to have that conversation with him and kind of see what's going on from his perspective.
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. And then he was talking about he's the one that told me about the letter the governor wrote and about the statement the governor gave, and he told me about how some of like the COVID-19 stimulus were distributed to the country. The first thing I heard from my mom told me they were giving out like I think 5,000 naira to people who don't have that. You can still use the currency exchange to find out how much that is in dollars, but it's not a lot. It's like 10, 15 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's still like, I mean, they were giving that out and then they still didn't give that to everybody. I think they adjusted it by how much you have in your bank account. So I don't know how that worked out, but that was the first thing I heard. Still pretty fucking sad when you think about it. And then there also was the person I talked to this morning that said they were given a pack of noodles, like a pack of ramen, like one singular ramen, and told to share it with another family. A family was given a pack of ramen and told them to share it with another family. And I'm like, either you didn't actually mean that or I don't even know what to think. So I'm just going to say maybe he meant a box of ramen, maybe like a box of like 20 or 30 ramen and told to share that with another family. And that was their stimulus package, COVID-19. Meanwhile, there are states with literal warehouses full of stuff. They've just been sitting there. I still don't know 100% the story, actually. Honestly, I don't know the story behind the warehouse or who owns the warehouse or why there are things there. Mm-hmm. But I do know that the stimulus package was set for a long time ago. We only had like one lockdown for like a week, and before that, we were supposed to receive a stimulus. Or after that, sorry, we were supposed to receive a stimulus. But that was like back in, I would say August or July. That was back in July.
Damn. And yeah, damn. I don't have anything to add. I think that you can tell by looking at me I'm not from Nigeria. I appreciate you coming on and being able to give like your voice into it. I actually yesterday when I went on class time to talk with It ended up being Cole James Cash and Poseidon's Trap God, Aaron. And we were just like talking back and forth and so forth. And I said at one point that, when I first started covering international news, I felt bad because, like, I'm just another white guy from the United States, like trying to, like, cover stories about different African nations, different Middle Eastern nations, and so forth. But I eventually started to feel somewhat okay about it because there doesn't seem to be anybody doing it. Whether it's
Yeah.
in American media, whether it's on Twitch. Now, I mean, you do have Silver, you do have Lectin, you do have K Swiftly, you do have some of like Resistance Noir. But
Hmm.
when I first started doing, international news coverage back in August of 2019, I mean, there was nobody, doing anything.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm finally like starting to feel like somewhat okay and just trying to bring attention, bring awareness to different things.
Hmm.
So having a person come on to be able to give actual like analysis of what happened, I really do appreciate it.
You are doing a great job. That's what a thing I would say. Just by streaming it alone, by mentioning it, you are doing a great job already.
Well,
It's more than we can expect from most, from like a lot of people. We do like me personally. I like I haven't seen a lot of
mm-hmm.
coverage on Twitch. I've seen a lot of coverage recently, really recently. This has been going on for over a couple of weeks now. But recently, coverage has been picking up with Western news sources. But this has been a thing in the entire country for about 2 weeks. The people actually want to be heard. The people on the ground in Nigeria, like, it's there's a lot of things for it to get to this point, you know, you can probably tell, like, just by the things I've already said. For things to get to this point, they have to already have been a history of the government doing wild ass shit and just
Mm-hmm.
not held accountable for it.
Well, you see
And
this in so many different countries around the world right now: Haiti, Honduras, Guatemala, Venezuela, Argentina. Just like corruption that's existed for such a period of time, extraction that's existed for such a period of time from the United States and from the international organizations like you discussed.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And a lot of nations have reached their point of, I mean, the population, they're starving, they're impoverished,
mm-hmm.
they can't afford their rents. Look at Iran with the sanctions. Like, currency hyperinflation is happening probably in, fuck, I would probably say 30 to 50 different countries around the world right now. Um, and the only thing that sanctions do is hurt the people of the nation. They don't they don't fucking hurt the governments. The governments are gonna be fine. Um,
The government, some rich ass people in the Nigerian government. Like, they cannot relate to anybody they serve. They cannot relate. And like their children most of the time are not even in Nigeria. Exhibit A is me. I'm not in Nigeria, you know? But like it goes way further than that. There's like really, really insanely rich people in the country. A lot of the, like, when you search like top black, top richest black, people in the world, or top richest black, even pastors in the world, there's a lot of rich. So there's people who are living on an astronomically different level from the people they're serving.
mm-hmm.
And that shows itself every single day in the disconnect that the government has with the actual individuals. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because, like, how'd I say it? Because people in the, like, in powerful positions have been doing horrible things to those they're meant to be serving and getting away with it for so long, it's gotten to the point where the government is is like getting annoyed at the fact that people are even asking stuff from them. You think, well, like, you can think about like when when this protest first started, everyone only asked for one thing. They didn't even address the exploitation. They didn't even address the straight up like stealing of the taxpayer money and natural resources and using the country's funds as if it's their own private money. People were asking just to end SARS and give them the list of demands they had, just to stop this one issue of young people being murdered for looking good, basically. And now that simple um that simple action of going out to actually demand change from the government, hopefully it opens the eyes of a lot of people that you can demand things that like you want from the government. That's their job. They're meant to give you what you ask for. They're meant to give the people what they want. Like they were voted in by you. You have power. You can go out and exercise your right to protest. There were a lot of protests that were mostly peaceful. And then, like a week later, like I don't even think it took a week, they said, oh yeah, SARS has been dissolved. We're going to make SWAT now.
Yep. Yeah.
With the same people from SARS.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that have already died from SARS get no justice whatsoever. And then you're like, wait a minute.
Why are you still mad? It's what they yeah, that's what I mean. The government asks, why are you mad? We did what you want.
The people are like, hold up. This is not even what we asked for. And by the time you realize what the government's doing, you realize something that like the government depends on you to be dumb. They depend on you to see something like that and go, oh yeah, problem solved. Oh my God, we changed the name? That's all we had to do? Oh yeah, hell yeah, problem solved. We can move on now. That's what the government thinks the people are when they put out something like that. So by the time the people see that and realize this is not what we wanted, this is built very specifically to not give us what we wanted. It's like the opposite of what you're asking for. Then the demands started getting more specific. We want better pay for the police. We want justice with those that have already died, their families to be compensated. We want everybody that's gonna be, working for the police or whatever to have proper training. So it's like now the government's responding, and there's so much disregard for the actual demands of the people that are there. And that's pissing more and more people off. It's pissing a lot of people off, especially the young people. And they are there in numbers every single day. I am highly impressed with what I've been seeing every single day. And then there was an idea of there's like I don't know what to call it, a town or a city. There's a part of Lagos, it's called Lekki. It's where a lot of like the expensive housing is. There's like a toll gate that you have to pass through to get into that part of the state. That's where one of the protests were. There were a lot of people protesting there because they know the really wealthy people, the people that are more likely to be, in the government and stuff. And it's like, I was like, this is actually a great strategy to see, to like how to like draw attention from some of the elites, if I should say, that are going to be in positions of power. That I was like, that is going to piss them off a lot. And what I was hoping for is some sort of dialogue to start. But there was no dialogue. All we got were bullets. People died. There were videos of military officials literally pulling up and spraying protesters. And then there was more videos of in Imo State. That's where in Imo State. There's videos of, I don't even know who these people are. I can't tell whether it was the police or the military, or I don't even know who they were. Like right now, SARS is abolished, so there is not specifically SARS doing anything right now. So like being used to the people being used to, how do I say it, to like fight the protesters and straight up kill them. You can't really specify where they're from. But when we see the military, we know it's the military because they're wearing the military uniform. You know, they can't be more obvious than that. So there's like kind of just uniformed men and sometimes plainclothes looking armed men chasing people in the street and gunning them down. Someone is running away from you when you were chasing them and shooting them down. You're not even trying to catch them because you already shot them. They're like crawling away at this point and you're still shooting them. If the government can do that to people that voted them in, I hope a lot of people are having like a clearer picture of the situation and just how much needs to change. A lot needs to change outside just end SARS. And I think that's where these protests are going to lead to. And that can be a really good thing, but it can also have really bad consequences. Because at this point, the government is very, very unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
They can do literally anything because they think they're going to get away from it.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to get away with it. The other part of like nobody, you know, outside the country, you're not really getting the pressure from, I guess, the UN or any of the global organizations that we all assume cares for the good of everyone on the planet. You're not like there's no one's coming in to say, oh, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was usually I don't really know how the UN operates and all of that, but like this is the assumption a lot of people have. You like
TLDR, they don't do much. They don't do much.
Exactly.
They give loans,
yeah.
and then they demand repayment of their loans.
Really? That's kind of boring. And I'm not really talking about specifically just the UN. I'm talking about, you know, other organizations that could.
I had my fill of all this shit this week, and I got fed up with any semblance of banking systems or international organizations or central banks. I had my breaking point this week.
That they just don't do what they say they do, right?
And well, it's just I'm now actively seeing like, are there ways that I can get around these systems? So
yeah, it's crazy. All the celebrities, and now celebrities are demanding international celebrities who like try to use the African aesthetic, and overwhelming majority do that in Nigeria, and like to
I did see there was one footballer that came out. Is Odion Igalo Nigerian?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's Nigerian.
Yeah, I saw that he came out. He plays for Manchester United, and he's been starting to become more vocally outspoken against SARS.
He literally says it. He said he was talking about it in like interviews at the games and stuff. And that's one thing I'm hoping we'll see, that the longer this takes, the more and more radicalized people are going to be about it. The more and more extreme. Like I'm it's not like necessarily physically extreme like violence and whatnot, but I'm talking about the information. People are kind of like getting more and more aware of just exactly how much needs to change within the system, like the government, how the country is run, because it's so wild. It's so wild for the military to kill protesters. Like what? Like it's insane. I did not like. It's insane. It literally messes you up in the head. I am really really worried for like, people that I do know are out there in these protests. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it.
I wish I could help you more, and I wish that I could help your country more.
The best thing people can do now is to go out and just grab more attention, point it towards this.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that happens, the faster, like, the more that happens, the closer you get to actually being taken serious as a movement, because it's a huge movement, at least within the country. But they're not listening to the people in the country. So we're just looking for, and at this point, it's anything that can be done has to be done. And we will keep on protesting, keep on going out until something changes. They're trying to literally shut down the country until something changes at this point. And I'm completely fine with that. I am completely fine with that. I don't know, like I don't know like how I don't know like what the ideal solution is at this point, but the one solution that like seems, it's not a I don't want to say solution. It's like one course of action that seems more likely is that we keep on going out there and getting bigger and bigger numbers, protesting online, protesting in different countries. There was a protest here in Houston about a week ago that I went to. I wasn't there too long. It wasn't like a really long protest, but it was a protest in Houston here to get attention and let more people know about what's happening in these countries. It's not even just Nigeria at this point too. There's more shit going on in African countries, and I think the world should pay more attention here,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah,
It's like,
Sudan is having really
and
bad times at the moment as well. There's many places.
Congo is having like a
Yep.
genocide
Mm-hmm.
right now, I think, and that's even more extreme than, what we're facing in Nigeria. And it's like, the more we go out in numbers and put pressure on the government, the more likely we are to win. And we just have to keep on doing. And if we can get victory in this one issue, I am sure right now that more people are getting fed up to the point that I am with the way our country is run, because it's not being run like a country. Like, not to even talk about whether it's being run like a good country or not. It's not even being run like a country. It's being run like a circuit. Crazy. It's gotten
It's being run like a business
yeah.
where
It's not even a business. Like, there's no business that wants to be where we're at
well,
right
I'll try to explain like where I meant. The people at the top that hold, the strings of power just
now.
extract and extract and extract. So like there's no I'm kind of making like an analogy that like
Like a
the
really
the
business.
Nigerian civilian to the government would be like the worker, and all that kind of seems to be happening is the corruption and the bribery, the extortion, extraction of wealth up to the top.
Hmm. But the thing is, the government, it's not even like the actual government officials are the ones extorting. Like, the people in SARS. That's why I think like the payment, the more and consistent payment is more important.
Mm-hmm.
Is a very important part of that list of demand. If they are paid a livable salary, like something they can live well, they can something that can actually help them out, if they're paid their salaries, if they're paid enough to live a good lifestyle with their salaries, they will be less likely to want to extort innocent teenagers, at least on paper. But if they're not even getting that, then they're absolutely gonna extort those that they can extort. It's like legal robbery. That's 100% what it is. It's legal robbery, and it's done by the anti-robbery. I like it's the stories that, like, I saw what my friend went through when he was arrested. I never actually got was like thrown in jail or any of that, you know. Mine was just an exploitation, and then we kind of finessed them and called a lawyer. They didn't let us go, but the lawyer that we called. One of my friend's brothers or sister was a lawyer, and she kind of talked to them and like scared them a lot. And it wasn't exactly SARS. We don't even know what unit it was, but it was from policing unit that had me personally. So what we did was kind of scare him a little bit, and then we still paid him money. We just didn't pay him as much as they asked, you know. And then they let us go. But in my friend's case, they just picked him up from like an area. They said they smelled weed in the area, so they come in and they pick up everybody. They don't care who's smoking weed or who's not smoking weed, but they just pick up everybody in the area. They like fire one or two shots in the air. People start running around in the confusion. They just start picking up people and throwing them into. I don't like they kind of like I don't know how they do it. They kind of like rent a commercial bus, like a regular bus, you know, empty it out so it's an empty bus, and then they come to like an area, leave the door open, then they just cause complete chaos and start picking people from the crowds, throwing them into the bus, and then they take everybody from the bus to their station, throw them in cells, and they start exploiting or like they start extorting them. They let some people go, but in this case, they did not want to let him go. We found out later on that they were trying that, like, they were presumably trying to fill up actual. How do I say it? They were trying to replace, get this, actual inmates that were arrested, but set free because they, probably bribed them to get out or some shit. But they were arrested but set free, and then they had trials for those inmates, and they wanted to replace the actual inmates they had before with regular people. It is insane. I had no idea how that was possible until it happened to literally my friend. And my friend was like in jail with these people. They negotiated. I even went alone. Not exactly alone, but I went into the station alone. That was the first time I ever had a gun pointed at me. That was the first thing they did. I went into the station alone like around almost past midnight. I was told they asked for like 15,000 naira or some shit. So I got it from somebody. And I went straight to the station as soon as I heard about it. When I went to the station, I wasn't even answered. It was late as fuck at night, but I saw there were officers inside, so I thought they were still open. I went in. One dude just ran out, cocked his fucking AK or whatever, and pointed it at me. I just ran out immediately. Closed the door. So we waited, and then the next morning, we went in. We said we had the money, we had everything. They refused to see us for like a good 5 or 6 hours. We had the money to fucking pay the fucking bribe and get him out. But they were like, oh no. They just refused to see us altogether. They never even let us like give them the money. I was never even there. I was not even there when they ended up releasing him. I just stayed there the entire day till it was literally too late and I had to go back home. And eventually, the only reason they ended up setting this guy free is because we were actually able to get in contact. One of my friends was able to get in contact with like an uncle or something who was like their superior. So they had to set everybody there free. So it is crazy. Imagine what has been happening that's not caught on video, that's not shared on social media. You know? I'm from this place and I don't even know the half of it. So it's insane. This is what happens in countries when you let criminal governments get away with shit more and more and more. They will keep on doing even worse shit. And you have like there's no choice. You have to fight back. That's the only solution. You have to put a stop. There has to be a limit to how much you can take. And it's crazy. It's crazy that it even took this long because shit has been getting worse and worse and worse over time, and the speed in which it's getting worse is increasing. So it's insane right now. How many countries can you just say go out in the street and shoot protest? That's what you think You know, when
Sadly, at this moment, it's like 30 to 50, if not more.
exactly, it's crazy. No one ever wants to think, it's happening in my country. You know, everyone always assumes, it happens in this fascist country over here, so and the people there are all barbarians, some shit like that. So it can never happen here. We're civilized here, you know. But it's normal people that you just when you just don't hold people accountable. This is what the country ends up as. It's crazy. It's crazy. And like, I just want all I like. I just hope we can like keep this up. It's becoming increasingly hard when you're literally just being shot. But we just need to keep the pressure on the government and have them change stuff. We asked for some simple, very, very simple demands, and we got responded to with bullets. So it's
And it shows that if people need rice or ramen that badly, it also makes it harder to protest because, I mean, you can't even get enough food for your family.
I mean, yeah, there's
Well, I have to imagine that if there's already a black market for dollars, and there's high unemployment, and everybody's having to do their own side hustle, I just have to imagine that the material conditions for people are
yeah,
such that any type of survival is even difficult at the moment.
yeah, it is. I'm not like it's not easy. People have been finding a way to survive in Nigeria for a while.
Hmm.
That's really how it is. You have to you just it's crazy. A lot of people are really living in desperate. It's not the overwhelming majority though, but there is a lot of people living there. The standard of living is very it's I can't say what it is right now. It wasn't great, but it wasn't this awful when I was there. It definitely wasn't this awful. You know,
Hmm.
it's COVID and stuff, but they're totally. There's no like lockdowns or measures being put. So economically, we're still functioning normally as we would. But right now, protest. I don't know how that plays out. I don't have enough
It
information on
seems like uh,
living conditions right now. Can't
it's
even.
it seems like something happened on in the summer of 2016. Was there a Do you remember a big currency devaluation?
Yeah,
And
there was a recession.
okay, so prior to okay, I'm just here. Actually, I'll bring this one over here. Um, this is just making me think why it's harder and harder for people to have food. So, if you look at 2016, it used to be, but around we're just gonna call it 200 naira to the dollar, but then there was a huge spike where it went up to 300.
It started in 20. What year is it exactly? Yeah, 2015.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was
so
a
there was one there it began at the end of 2014, and then there was another devaluation in 2016, and then
yeah
another one in 2017, and now another one in 2020, and now the black market being developed. So that's why I keep trying to wonder how can people sustain themselves at the moment. Um,
stuff get like the way it is in Nigeria. Like stuff is always available. It's not that different. Stuff is always there's like food, there's water. Basically, everybody can get water if you're already dead. But
yeah.
sometimes you can go out and the price of the regular things you buy just increase in an annoying way. You know, if like sometimes the prices of some shit just goes up. That's how it directly affects people.
Well, yeah, that's kind of if I wasn't articulating myself well enough. That's what this is my biggest concern for 2021 is
It's just
that so many people are just going into poverty further and further. Whether they were in yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah, it is. That's That's how it is. But
Yeah.
like the overwhelming majority of people are already living in these conditions,
Right.
but they're surviving, and they think it's normal, but it's not. You know?
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add in with? I really appreciate all the time.
Oh yeah. Like all I the only real message is keep on sharing, throwing light on the situation. The more you give information out on it, the less people have a reason to stay ignorant of the situation. You know, you hear a
Hmm.
lot of celebrities coming out and saying, "Oh no, we're not. We didn't post anything because we actually just don't know about it." But it's like there's so much information being put out. It's been trending on Twitter, and we've been changing the hashtags after every time the trend stops. Kind of put a new hashtag so we can trend it. It's been constantly on there for a while, and we're trying to. For those of us that can't be out on the streets protesting because we're not there physically, when you see when you see posts about it, try to spread it. When you see posts about it from people you know, people you trust, try to add, try to like give a retweet, try to go do some research about it, and when we've seen when places like CNN and it's not the best, but they have a huge audience, and when they start sharing news like this, it really does help. It helps the fundraising efforts, it helps those on the ground. That's how we're able to keep people out in the street all day. It really does help um the organizers. A lot of the major organizers for this movement have seen tremendous success, which is why I'm saying what we're doing so far is working, but we have to maintain this energy and even do more and get more and more and more support for these people. So just sharing the information, just bringing the topic up, talking about it is doing like that is great. We just have to keep it up, keep on doing more. That's all I really can do and all I encourage people to do if you're not on the ground there. It really helps a lot.
Yeah. Um, Really, just once again, thank you for taking time out of your day to come on and help me get better informed. Um,
No, I really, what you're doing, like, I did not know you covered this much international news. I knew you covered international news, but I never knew it was to this extent, you know, every stream.
yeah. It's either this kind of stuff or like global monetary systems and financial systems or climate issues are really like the three things that I cover. I'm not very good at covering Latin American politics. It's a weak spot of mine. I need to get better at it. I'm trying to read more Telesur to get better. So
Hmm.
it's a growth process.
Having a perspective on how other countries like kind of work and the situation of people outside the place you live in is very, very helpful. It helps. It like gives you a way better perspective on the events going around you, especially politically,
Hmm.
where you and it's something that not a lot of people have. That knowledge is something not a lot of people have. So it's really a big help to be able to, to be a source of such information. And that's great. I just really hope the situation in Nigeria can get better and then people realize the power they have when they go out and hold the government accountable and make the demands for basic things people need in the country. There's a lot. There's a lot. This was just one of them, and there's a lot to go.
Yeah. You mentioned that there are fundraising efforts, and I see what Silver is talking about of not like donating to a certain person to get it through. Do you know of any that have like a good reputation of actually getting money to on the ground organizers?
I know the organizers. I know their social media. That's where I can direct you to. Hopefully, they can direct you to like their social, the On Twitter mostly. Fuck, if I can remember the name. If I scroll down my timeline down.
As well, if anybody in my community has a Twitch Prime, you stream, don't you, Slay?
Yeah, not right now though. I'm taking a break right now.
Well then, if you have Twitch Primes, you can give them to Silver. How about we just do that instead? So, if anybody has a Twitch Prime,
And
you can go and give it to Silver. What were you gonna say? Sorry to interrupt you.
No, I was just trying to pull up something. I feel like I was interrupting you a lot.
I've learned. It took me some time that sometimes you just have to sit and listen.
Oh hell yeah, that's a really great ability. Not a lot of people have. And I'm trying to get the Twitter of one of the real organizers. You might not want to show it on stream though. There's a lot of gruesome stuff in the videos that you will see.
I don't care.
If I get it, I will DM it to you. Like there's literally like gore and a lot of stuff like that.
I guess I should be concerned for like my audience seeing that kind of stuff, but
Yeah, your
I've
audience
never,
is triggering stuff and TOS.
I've never really been one to be concerned about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you really just for everything that you were able to teach us and share with us.
Oh yeah. I don't know why I can't find this person.
Yeah, just DM them to me. Either on Discord or on Twitter, or I do need to follow you on Twitter.
Oh, I think you already do.
I don't. I do now.
I know you.
I do now.
Nice. Oh yeah, don't scroll too much on my page too. Some of that shit is.
I appreciate the looking out. So,
yeah. If you don't care, that's like I definitely do. I don't want to be a reason for any of this shit.
Right.
Also, your audience too.
Yeah. Just once again, really thank you for everything.
Yeah, and great for I thank you for covering the news and the way you do. It's really helpful. It's a really big help giving perspective on how things are happening outside of someone's own country, and international news in general is a big help to everyone that can see it.
Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So maybe I will see you someday soon inside of Call of Duty.
Yeah, hell yeah. If you want to play the fucking zombie mode.
Yeah.
One day there's not a lot of.
I'm so fucking far behind on work. Every day it's just trying to actually cover all of the international stories that take place on a day in day out basis. That takes me 4 or 5 hours each day, and then I've got PDFs to read, I've got books to read, I've got YouTube videos to watch, I have networking to do on Twitch, Twitter work to do and everything. And it's just yesterday I didn't get out of my chair from sitting here until it was 10:15 at night. So
there is Aisha Yesufu. You can search her on Twitter. She's
Found
also one of the. I don't know exactly who she is, but I think isn't she part of the government?
She's got a lot of followers.
Yeah, she has been a great help.
Okay.
In the protests too. Yeah. She posts videos educating people and letting them know why it's so important to raise your voice in any situation that involves you.
Oh, she was just on CNN.
Oh hell yeah.
Nigerian activist tells Becky CNN she's horrified by Nigerian forces opening fire on protesters. So I think when you sign off, I'll bring this video up.
Oh hell yeah! I should probably do that.
Yeah, I'll check and see what that is. It seems pretty recent too. I guess it was CNN Africa, so it might not be CNN United States, but it's beginning.
CNN.
It's beginning.
Shit. The main CNN, I don't know if they have or seen. Definitely seen coverage. She puts out videos letting people know she's directly there,
Hmm.
protest a lot from what I've seen, and like there's a big, I don't know whether to call it conservative or just psycho, like older, like boomers, basically. Mostly like really, really older generation of people in Nigeria that I don't know, like they're okay with the government being this horrible and just want, you know,
They want to go back to brunch.
yeah, they just want to have shit ass opinions. That's how I see it. It's like
Yeah.
they want to be stupid and they're intentionally opposing shit like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, but like Aisha Yusufu has been a big help in fighting back against, people that are instead blaming. I don't. It's like blaming the victims and saying the protesters are causing it, this and that. It's what happens in every protest, man. It's just bullshit. Blaming the protesters for their own death, saying, "Oh, if they weren't there, then they wouldn't have gotten shot," and stuff like that. Okay, what about tomorrow when they're going out casually and then they still get shot? What then?
Hmm.
You know, crazy. And then there's also tribalism from the major tribes of people not wanting to protest with other people because they're from a different tribe and all of that. She also speaks out against it and know that like as a nation we're all in the fight together and like fuck about tribes and all of that. That's
Oh, okay. So it seems like there have been more demands added to the 5 for 5 as well. So the ones that
really
you and I spoke about were just the now, but now there is a short term and a short to medium term and a medium to long term as well.
oh, this looks like just putting more detail
Yeah.
in
Hmm.
how to get the 5 for 5 done.
Right.
I say like the movement is going to keep
Hello,
on,
everyone.
how do I say it? It's going to pay attention to the actions of the government and respond to it effectively. Because even though it's a protest that in this definition is disorganized, they're still more organized than the government. Protesters are more organized than the government, even though they're protesters and they're all random people that just want one thing. That random selection of people are working together and are being like more organized effectively than the people that are in the government and do that as a job every day for years and get paid for it. You know, I
Hmm.
saw. I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to find this specific page. I can't remember it right now. I'll just have to take a moment and find it. Like this lady even gave a detailed listing out of how they are spending the funds being donated to them. So,
Okay. Okay.
so it's like they're giving account for everything they're doing and what funds are going where, covering hospital bills for people that are getting shot and people that are getting just brutalized, covering bail for people that are getting arrested from the protests, because like people are just getting picked up from the street and taken straight to prison and stuff, and generally spreading information of where and when protests are gonna be. So it's insane, and it's a really really good thing that we can be this organized to coming together as people and fighting for their goal, for like a common goal, and
Hmm.
like more and more people need to believe we can get this shit done because I personally believe we can. I think it's gonna that we are gonna succeed in getting our demands if we can continue being this organized and this great because the government is not like capable of effectively silencing people. That's what they want to try to do, and they're not doing it in a great way. They've only succeeded in making people more and more pissed off and more likely to go outside. And the more we can get, the more we can get more eyes on the situation. I personally think this is more likely like the government isn't gonna do something wild. If they go out and want to kill more people, there's more eyes watching and seeing exactly what is happening. We're less likely they are less likely to succeed in lying to us. Like, oh my fucking god! This morning, a military official came out and said the shooting of protesters that happened on the Lekki toll gate 2 days ago. That's where like 12 people died and the military killed them. He just came out and said it never happened and it was Photoshop.
Well, yeah, didn't the most recent protests begin because the government claimed that the October 3rd video was doctored, showing an execution by the SARS of a civilian?
That has to be a different case.
It was the beginning of October. I think it was much earlier on. But this, from what I was reading from Al Jazeera, that seemed to be one of the events that really kind of like began the people taking out into the streets this year.
Like, there's been a lot of shit. Like, it's been a lot. It's just crazy. How will you say something that literally just happened 2 days ago, where thousands of people were gathered?
Mm-hmm.
Who is going to believe you? Why are you saying it? What do you intend to gain by saying it? You know, it's probably going to convince maybe 2 or 3 people watching it on the news and going to be like, oh, it never happened. Oh, okay, I guess. Then where like what like why, what are they going to gain by saying that? Who's going to believe them? And the people that believe them, what are they going to change, you know? And the answer that I am sad to admit is probably true is that they just don't care. They know they can get away with whatever they want, and that is what needs to actually change. They have to stop being able to get away. So it's crazy. Just look at the tweets popping up. Well, I actually forgot. I think there's a speech by the president going on right now because a lot of tweets are popping up right now. It's like reaction to a I don't know I don't think I can get access to it. It's probably being streamed on.
I could probably find it somewhere on Twitter or somewhere. Maybe it's out there somewhere.
News. It's I don't know where I can see it personally. Let me just search Buhari. See. God, I'm seeing the memes.
And like memes will be the death of my channel.
Yeah, like I search it, I'm seeing memes before I even see the actual thing.
Yeah, I'll take a look to see if I can find it. But
it's like 4 minutes. It's like a 12-minute speech. I'm seeing. I'm seeing like shorter versions of it. There's a 23-second clip. Oh, that's a meme. Fuck. My God.
Do you want me to delete this VOD at all for, any?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm one of the lucky people that don't really. I'm not in the country. I'm being separated from the effects of these things. It's really dangerous to even be out in the streets right now. And like I'm obviously gonna do 100% whatever I can from this side. It's not there's not really any danger in having a VOD up for you or I. I'm telling you, the government is not that organized.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think they're coming after me, but I knew that there was a potential of you moving back at some point. So that was all.
Yeah, even if they wanted to do some strategic sniping, I'm 100% sure they're not that organized.
True.
This is all happening because of that,
Yeah, because of it.
Yeah, we want an accountable government. It's like like a government that at least acts like they're trying. They at least pretend to try. They're not even pretending to try. Okay, there's one person FK Abudu. That's one of the people I was trying to remember their names. Okay, she has reactions to the stream, to the president's speech. He did not even address Lekki at all. So he did not address the shooting by the military.
How do you spell
He
FK FK?
FKABUDU on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just reading her tweets about the speech and I'm trying to put some perspective on it. He said, foreigners mind your business. This is another thing that's been happening is there's some psycho like government official that has been mentioning Jack, like the owner of Twitter or the founder of Twitter or some shit like that, and telling him stop posting about the End SARS protest or I'm gonna sue you at the international court. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. You're not gonna do shit. You're just Donowalling yourself right now, and that's like Donowalling's talking to a wall, some
Mhm.
meme and some like a sans chatter, all that. He was just basically not gonna do shit. And even if he does, it's not gonna change anything. Like no one's gonna, what's he gonna do to Jack? He was threatening Jack for like a week on end, and then he said he filed some international crime lawsuit or some shit. And then there's Mo Cheevius, M.O. Cheevius, like mischievous. She's also an organizer. They all got like partnered, like verified on Twitch when the protests heightened up.
I don't see Mochivius.
M.O. like just there's no space
Okay.
in between. Yeah. You have the spelling correct. Oh no, C. Oh, I'm gonna just DM you. It's
Okay.
OCHIEVOUS.
Ah, right.
Well.
I'm missing. There it is.
Yeah. So these 3 accounts, including Aisha Yusufu, they're all the people like the 3 main people I'm aware they're like really leaders of the movement and really organizers within the movement. So if you have, and also ironically, Anonymous has been posting some help stuff. Yeah, I usually won't encourage anyone to follow the Anonymous posts.
I probably follow them.
I can't personally confirm a lot of the stuff he talks about on his page in general, but in this scenario where I have some information at least. I haven't been,
I don't
or
actually.
whoever, they've been kind of consistent on the post relating to End SARS.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 people I'll leave you with. So
Once-
yeah, it's been great. It's been great talking to you. It's been great having a platform to share information about this. I just want to it's just very serious, and at least whether or not you're involved in the situation, just know that this is what happens when a country does not keep their government accountable.
Right.
It leads to complete disregard for democracy, complete disregard for the people. They don't care about whatever they said when they were trying to get elected. They just come in, do whatever they want, and then leave. So it's been happening for a while. And then there's always more to the story. I can keep talking forever, but this is the main issue. This is what we are going through right now in our country.